Okay. So this is an introduction into systems of equations. So we have two situations here. We have a guy named Jose and Marty, and they are going to wrestle each other. Okay. They need to be in the same weight category though. So there's Jose, who is to begin, he is 180 pounds and he plans to gain 2 pounds per week. Okay. Marty weighs 249 and will have to go down and lose 1 pound per week. How many weeks will they weigh the same? So we begin with B and we move with M. That's a constant rate of change. So the rate of change for Jose is to gain a positive 2 pounds per week, but we're starting at 180. Marty, we're starting at 249 and he's losing 1 pound per week. You don't have to write the one, but it helps to see that. So it says, here's a system of equations. So with systems of equations, we have two situations and we want to know when they're going to come together. The hard part is there's two variables. We can't solve y for a specific value or w for a specific value because we have two variables. We have to somehow eliminate or get rid of a variable. So in this chapter, you're going to learn to use or reiterate from 8th grade, substitution and elimination. We could graph this and see where they intersect, but that would be very hard. Let's use a graphing calculator. So I would want to know when these two intersect, they'll be the same weight. When will they be the same weight? So we have 2x plus 180, and then we have negative x plus 249. I'm going to hit graph. I see that little thing turning up there. When it's done, I know that it's done graphing. I'm going to go to Zoom standard, and see if I can see anything. It's turning, it's graphing, it's graphing. And I don't see anything. Why? Because we're starting at these very high numbers. So we don't need all this down here. We'll start our x minimum at 150 because it's a little bit less than 180. And our max will be 250. Okay, maybe let's start at 170. And then our y min, oh, oops, I guess that should have been x. These are our y values. I apologize. So our y min will be 160. Our y max will be 250. And our x values, we can go from -5 to 5, sure, whatever. So here's our one graph. And here's our other. Oh, so we got to see way over here. All right, they're going to connect way down here. So let's make window our x values. Let's start at 6 and end at 20. Let's see what that does. Okay, let's start at 15 and end at 25. Okay, oops. Okay, great. We see where they intersect. But then we have to do second, trace, intersect. This side is one line, enter. This side's another line, and I'm going to guess where they intersect. So see how much work this is? And what if you don't have a graphing calculator? It says they intersect at 23 and y is 226. Okay, so graphing by hand would be awful. Using a graphing calculator would work, but see how easy this was for me because I am so used to using the graphing calculator. So this isn't the best way, but that's the first day you learn. You learn how to graph and see where they intersect. Well, what if you graph wrong? What if you don't know how to use a graphing calculator? What if you don't even have a graphing calculator, okay? So using graphing might not be the best method. We know what our answer is though. But here it says use substitution or elimination to determine how many weeks they will weigh the same. Well, the substitution method is every time I see a y, I can replace it with 2y plus 180. So I'm going to go over to this y, and replace it with 2w plus 180. It's to determine how many weeks. So we could have made x here, but weeks is x. So we're going to bring the 1 over here. We're going to subtract 180 here. And then we're going to divide by 3, and we're going to get 23. So it'll take 23 weeks. So after 23 weeks, they'll weigh the same. Yeah, x is 23, that's what we saw. But that was substitution method. Elimination method is when you put them in the same order. We could technically do it here because they're in the same order, but elimination method is when you have one variable, the next variable equaling a constant. So pretty much standard form. The standard, we wouldn't have a negative. And then you say to yourself, okay, I want to get rid of one of my variables. So I'll negate this whole row and make it 2w minus equals negative 180. That's essentially what you're doing over here. And you would have gotten 3w equals, and you could have done it this way. So you could have used graphing, substitution, or elimination to get the 23 weeks. Okay, I'm doing just an overview of the whole lesson today to introduce it because some of you have done this before. You're like, yeah, I get it. I had geometry last semester. Some of you are like, I haven't seen geometry in 3 quarters, a whole year. That's fine. So this is an overall view. If you understand this, you won't have to do today's notes and you can skip right to Delta Math. But if you struggle on parts of this, then yes, you need to complete the notes and do today's lesson. Okay, so those are the 3 methods. Now it's asking how much will they weigh? Why? Well, it doesn't matter which equation I use. You can pick one or the other. The whole point is this will be the same amount of time. I should plug 23 weeks in, and I should get the same weight. So no matter what Jose or Marty equation is, I should get the same amount every time, and that should be 226, like we got in our graphing calculator. So 2 times 23 plus 180 is 226. Yeah, it doesn't matter which one you use. And it says, what if Marty and Jose wanted to gain 1 pound a week from their original weights? What would they weigh? So if Marty started at 249 and Jose started at 180, and they both gained 1 pound a week, when would they weigh the same? They wouldn't. If they're both gaining at the same constant rate, they would never intersect. So there is no solution. They would never weigh the same. Okay, so you could either show me by graphing, or you could say, all right, they're going to gain 1 pound a week. Set them equal to each other and solve. We see that the W's cancel. 180 equals 249. That's never going to be true. So if we use graphing, they'll never intersect. If we use substitution, we'll get 2 unequal amounts. If we use elimination, we will get negative 1w plus y equals 180, and we will get negative 1w plus y equals 249. If we negate the 1, the w's will cancel, the y's will cancel, and you'll get 2 things that don't equal each other. Okay, so when you have parallel lines that don't intersect, this is classified as inconsistent system. Therefore, no solution. It's inconsistent. When you have a consistent system here, where they intersect at one point, that 23, 226, that is a consistent system. And because you have one solution, you are independent. Okay. If you completely understand everything I did on this page, because you did this in 8th grade and in geometry, feel free to start your Delta Math. If you're like, no, I'm still a little bit shaky, I want to actually complete the notes, then go ahead and do that as well.